Thanks for joining us tonight for News Center Maine at 11. I'm Bailey Cornick, and we have lots to cover tonight. A challenge to a Maine gun control law could be heading to the U.S. Supreme Court. Plus, lawmakers, healthcare workers, and community members meet to talk about the future of maternal care centers in Maine amid several closures. And an update to the rising death toll after the devastating flood in Nepal that leaves more than 1,000 people missing. All that and more is ahead tonight, but first, meteorologist Alan Holt is ready to give us a first check of the weather. Alan, we were just talking about how the moon, very pretty tonight.
Yeah.
I saw it. The clouds weren't covering it from down where we were.
Yeah, on the way up, some clear air in parts of the state, including southern Maine. The eclipse is ongoing right now. It will max out at a little after midnight tonight. It was rather bumpy, turbulent weather in the mountainous terrain in southern Oxford County earlier tonight. Those showers and storms are now decaying over the highlands. I'm going to show you what was going on with the radar. A fascinating look in the full weather segment. South wind coming in still, and it's pretty breezy. That's raising the humidity levels. Dew point values are in the mid 60s for a lot of the state. That's going to sustain overnight lows in the middle 60s, and we will have some areas of fog up and down the Maine coast first thing tomorrow morning. Tomorrow looks mainly cloudy as a front approaches the region. This front will ignite a broken line of showers and or thunderstorms in the afternoon. That'll be moving to the east, and I think we're done with the rain by 8 or 9 o'clock, after which we're on our way to a really good-looking weekend, especially on Saturday. So weekend looks great. We'll talk more about what happened earlier tonight, Bailey, with a pretty strong thunderstorm in southern Oxford County. That info here in a few.
All right, thank you. We have an update on the breaking news from earlier today. Police in Old Town are looking for 27-year-old Nathan Lagazi. Police say he assaulted a woman who suffered head injuries and lacerations to her upper body. According to the town of Orono, state police and Orono officers are assisting Old Town police. Penobscot County dispatchers say because of the police activity there, detours were in place on parts of Stillwater Avenue. People are being asked to avoid that area. We will keep you updated as we learn more. Lobster fishermen came to the rescue of two sailors whose boats overturned in Tremont earlier today. At around 3:30 this afternoon, a small sailboat overturned near the Algerian shore off Cape Road, according to the Tremont Volunteer Fire Department. They say the sailors were quickly assisted by two nearby lobster boats. One of those boats brought a sailor to safety to the Seal Cove dock. The other stayed in the water with the overturned sailboat and helped guide it toward the beach where first responders had gathered. The fire department says several crews, including from the U.S. Coast Guard, responded. No injuries were reported. A challenge to a Maine gun control law could be heading to the U.S. Supreme Court. The 2024 law requires a 72-hour waiting period for gun buyers after passing a federal background check. Opponents say that's a violation of their Second Amendment right to keep and bear firearms. The Democratic majority state legislature approved the law following the 2023 mass shooting in Lewiston, which killed 18 people and wounded 13. Governor Janet Mills allowed it to become law because of the argument that a cooling off period would especially help prevent suicides, which comprise 90% of Maine gun deaths. The First Circuit Court of Appeals in Boston upheld the law in April. Members of Maine's fishing industry can breathe a sigh of relief. Canada is removing seafood and fish products from its counter-tariff list. The Canadian government said that based on feedback they got from various industries, they decided to roll back the tariff to protect against broader economic harm to the country. The change is particularly significant for Maine's lobster industry, which has been caught in the crossfire of the escalating U.S.-Canada trade dispute.
It was great news that tariffs were dropped today, especially Maine lobster. This year has been significantly more difficult. Low lobster prices to the boats and high expenses. Bait's high, fuel's high, and every year they keep getting higher and the lobster price seems to be getting lower and lower.
The Maine Lobstermen's Association said a proposed 25% tariff on American lobster would have severely disrupted one of Maine's lobster's most important markets during the height of the fall fishing season. A bridge in Millinocket now bears the name of a Maine State Police detective who was killed in the line of duty. Family, friends, and former colleagues of Ben Campbell remembered his legacy today on Route 11 near his former home. In 2019, while pulled over along I-95 to help a driver, Campbell was struck and killed by a wheel that had detached from a passing logging truck. United States Senator Susan Collins secured the federal funding to build the bridge. She presented a flag flown at the U.S. Capitol to Campbell's family during the ceremony. Nurses were outside of Senator Collins' office earlier today protesting donations she receives from Palantir executives. The AI tech company has been in the spotlight lately for its contracts with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Christian Harsa reports.
For 10 minutes, Middle Street in Portland was blocked off by union nurses protesting Palantir. Letters allegedly written by children in ICE custody on the front doors to the building of Senator Susan Collins' Portland office.
When will our punishment end? When will we be free? No family should ever be separated or have to stay detained for months.
Nurse Kelly Brennan helped organize the demonstration.
It's just so sad.
The nurses are protesting Collins' connection to Palantir. In the past couple years, campaign finance reports show Palantir executives have donated about $113,000 to Collins' campaign and Pine Tree Results, a super PAC that has been making ads like this one attacking Collins' competitor, Democrat Troy Jackson.
Troy Jackson voted to allow.
While at an event in Millinocket on Thursday, Collins was unaware of the protest or the nurses' demands.
I have been happy to receive support from donors all over the country as well as the state of Maine.
Nurses like Meg Sinclair have already protested Maine Health's contract with Palantir twice this summer.
For Maine Health to funnel money at this evil corporation is completely evil.
Maine Health says the tech it uses from Palantir is to fix insurance denials and ultimately help patients. The hospital system also says all data is protected by HIPAA. After talking with the senator, the Collins campaign reached out to News Center Maine, claiming Maine Health's use of Palantir technology has saved patients millions of dollars. It helps level the playing field for Mainers when our hospitals appeal denials by the big insurance companies.
Christian Harsa reporting there. So for context, the roughly $113,000 Palantir executives have donated to the Collins campaign and the Pine Tree Results PAC represents a small fraction of the nearly $40 million those two entities have received in recent years, representing less than 1/3%. A defense technology company opened a new location in Old Town today. Turbine One says they deliver artificial intelligence for soldiers on the front lines. The company held a ribbon-cutting ceremony for its new Defense Technology Innovation Hub this afternoon. It's called T1 Machine Works. They say the hub uses AI and experimentation to speed up development and testing of technology used on the front lines. There's much more to come tonight. How a Biddeford library is preserving the memory of the man shot and killed by ICE last month. CENTER Maine is learning federal immigration agents have arrested another corrections officer from the Cumberland County Jail. We're told on August 22nd, ICE took Nilton Ribeiro, who's from Angola, into custody. DHS tells us Ribeiro first entered the U.S. in 2022 and was permitted to stay through March 7th, 2023. Officials say he will stay in custody while his removal proceedings play out. This is the fourth Cumberland County Corrections officer ICE has arrested this year. And it's been just over a month since Johann Sebastian Duran Guerrero was killed by ICE agents in Biddeford. That same day, July 13th, protest erupted and memorials were put up in his honor. Last week, the Jersey barriers at Mechanics Park came down. With them, the MacArthur Library began preserving what was left behind. CENTER Maine's Marcus Kokova got an inside look at what happens to those memorials after the protesters have gone.
So yeah, this one's a letter from a kid.
When all that's left of our lives are letters and pictures.
And the letter reads, "I'm so sorry for what the ICE agents did to you."
Rose Dion is one of the people who pick up the pieces.
"Your family is going to miss you forever," all caps. "I bet you had a wonderful family, and you still do. You were not deserved to be killed. I bet you had a family that would love you no matter what."
Though she can't put them back together.
I mean, the ones from kids get me all the time. Like, that's just, you know, it's something we're seeing a lot of.
Rose knows the pieces are precious.
In my normal day-to-day job, almost every object I get comes with the story of the death of a loved one. I am donating this book because it was my mother's and she just passed. That's something I deal with every single day.
Rose is an archivist. For her, history is sentimental. She spends her days preserving the past. Testaments to our time, witnesses. We were here.
I saw this portrait that was in the middle of this biography I was reading for class. And I feel like that was the first time I felt like history was happening and I could see it and I could touch it and it was right in front of me.
But what's happening in Biddeford is different.
I know what to do with glass plate negatives from the turn of the century and plastic negatives from the 1930s and sort of all of these things, but because a lot of this is so new, we don't, as a field, really know how it will age.
Cardboard, acrylic paint, printer paper, everyday materials, never intended to become history.
It makes me feel a little crazy, and I feel like I must look so silly right now. But this isn't a piece of cardboard with paint on it. It is a historical object.
But preserving those kinds of objects isn't as uncommon as you might think.
One thing people don't realize is how common this is. I've been getting a lot of help from other archivists really all over the country who have dealt with similar spontaneous memorials.
Spontaneous memorials. History made with no time to look back.
It's almost working backwards. We're seeing the objects being created right now. And so I really felt a lot of urgency to save them.
These objects, their haste, their impermanence, carry the record that someone named Johann lived, died, and was missed.
If I had just moved here from another planet, I would still see the emotions that are happening in this community because of this event. So it's hard not to let them affect you or seep into the work.
After the break, a decades-long effort to address mercury contamination in the Penobscot River is now moving forward. How the river is being cleaned up. Next.
And I just recruited some of our staff to check out the lunar eclipse that's happening right now. You can see the moon being eclipsed by Earth's shadow, the full sturgeon moon out there. Max eclipse time will happen in about an hour, a little after midnight, at which point the moon should take on a slight reddish hue. Full weather forecast coming up after this.
All right, so hot off the press, you said you can see
Yeah.
the shadow outside.
Yeah.
So if you're in southern Maine, would you encourage people
Yeah,
to
if you're up
go
and
take
you're
a
like
look?
dressed and stuff, yeah, go out and check it out.
Absolutely. DJ's on.
Yeah, it's not cold or anything out, but you got to be respectful of people around.
Sure.
Tonight, there were some pretty strong storms in southern Oxford County. Talk about what was happening there. Just some decaying stuff, the remnants of those strong storms moving through the highlands and into Aroostook County. But we're going to focus, this is at 7 o'clock tonight, so this is not current. This is how the radar looked, and the feature we're looking at here is north of Lovell in Norway. You see this little notch. There were some pretty strong winds feeding this thunderstorm south of Stoneham, and there's a little hook there. There was definitely rotation in this storm. It was initially warned as severe, and then at 7:10, the Weather Service came out and put a tornado possible tag on this cell, again, south of Stoneham. This is earlier, 7 o'clock. This is not current, but these red and greens, very close to one another, represents a couplet. That's what we call it. And couplets represent rotation within thunderstorms, and this one definitely had that, but from photos I've seen out of the area, it doesn't look like this thing produced a tornado. It did definitely have a lowering of the base of the cloud, which is a wall cloud, and it was probably rotating, but I have not seen any evidence or have seen any damage reports of anything dropping there as far as tornadic activity. Again, radar is quiet right now, just some decaying showers up in the highlands. Tomorrow's rain chance will stem from this cold front. It'll move in from the west, and as it does, we'll get a broken line of showers and or thunderstorms along it. This will primarily be in the afternoon time frame. It'll be humid and kind of warm tomorrow as well. So dotting this front, I think there will be some passing showers or storms, most likely in central and eastern Maine. It doesn't look like southern Maine will be in line for the bulk of that. Not that it's going to be a ton anyway, but behind that front, really nice this weekend. Saturday, low humidity, sunshine, comfortable temps in the upper 70s. Cool nights also. Saturday and Sunday morning will be in the 50s. And then another system comes in late Sunday. It may induce a few showers in northern Maine Sunday afternoon and then overnight. But I think behind it, Monday is quiet and pretty nice. And then we've got this front that'll be to our south with a big region of high pressure south of that. And that is going to be a setup that allows little disturbances to work into Maine, which looks like it'll be an unsettled type of setup Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It'll hinge on exactly where this boundary is in relation to the high. That's not set in stone yet. The point is, that middle of next week is looking, a little bit more unsettled and somewhat cool out there. So we do have a little bit of rain tomorrow with that front in the afternoon. Weekend looks fabulous, especially Saturday. I think that's the nicer of the 2 days. Both will be nice though. And then a cooler, maybe gray, damp at times look to next week, given, the low 70s for highs and those rain chances coming in Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday too.
That cool weather next week makes you want to get maybe a pumpkin-y drink. Maybe.
And it'll be September too by then. So
I feel like then you have the pass to do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
You can't have it when it's like warm and
I had a
summery.
pumpkin matcha yesterday.
But it wasn't
was
spiced, right? Or was it? Oh, it was spiced.
Well, yeah, it had pumpkin in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's a spice. I get it. Yep.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
In Augusta, the Blaine House was lit up pink tonight in honor of Dolly Parton. Governor Janet Mills shared this photo to social media. She said that Parton's talents will never be forgotten, nor will her lifelong commitment to giving back to her community and helping others. The iconic country singer died on Tuesday at the age of 80. Work is underway in Orrington to help clean up decades of mercury contamination in the Penobscot River. Crews are testing a process called sand capping. It will cover contaminated sediment with clean sand in an area known as East Cove 3. The work comes as the Maine Department of Environmental Protection announced it is suing current owner Malincrot over unfinished cleanup at the former Holtrachem site. But project leaders say the lawsuit and sand capping work are separate. Officials say the goal is to limit how much mercury moves through the river, where it could get into fish and other wildlife.
Fish and birds and other things eat the things that live in the sediment. And so if they eat something that has mercury, they pick up the mercury. And if something eats them, they pick up the mercury. So this is cleaning up the bottom of the food chain.
Project leaders say the site will be monitored for several years to see how well the sand cap holds up before considering cleanup expansion. Part of the Scarborough River is closed for shellfish fishing because of pollution from a leaking sanitary transmission. The town's harbor master and marine resources office shared that to social media this afternoon. They say the closure is from the area of Seavy's Landing upriver. The harbor master told us that the leak was minor and repairs are being made. That area will be closed until September 17th. State legislatures, healthcare providers, and community members are meeting in Augusta to discuss the future of maternal care centers in Maine. This comes as birthing units such as Maine Health's Miles Delivery Center in Damariscotta are closing. Today, Maine Health and members of DHHS shared how dwindling birth rates and the inability to attract specialty healthcare workers have been the main contributing factors to these decisions. Legislators and several community members argue the state needs to look at funding programs to promote specialty care providers moving to Maine.
We have to adapt our systems to accommodate the lifestyles of the physicians who are now coming out of school in the lives that they want to live with their families. And that's sort of a dynamic that hasn't been addressed and I think is putting pressure on the system. But recruiting more doctors is certainly something that we have to look at as a state, and especially in our rural parts of our state.
The legislators say they will continue discussing how to implement potential solutions as the next legislative session approaches in December. Stick with us. We're learning more about the deadly flooding in Nepal that's left over 1,000 people missing, including some Americans. The details next.